Hello, everyone, and welcome to Claret and Booze. My name's Nick. You know, Virgil is. We're coming live tonight. We was planning on doing just a plain old boring match preview, which we didn't really want to do because we're not really looking forward to the Leeds game, either one of us. But then we stumbled across the article recently written today. That was a preview of the Leeds game by Jacob Steinberg in the Guardian, and fucking scathing, absolutely scathing. A lot of what was mentioned in the report is kind of what we knew already, but there's some stuff in there that we didn't know as well. Now, look, we know that Jacob Steinberg, he's not a bald mouthpiece by any means. He's a credible journalist, but he's friends with the club. He's not going to piss them off. That's where he gets his information from. The only way he's been able to come out and do that is with the say-so of the powers that be within the board, and that is a definitive throwing under the bus of David Moyes. It's bad. It's attacking him from all fucking angles. And if I've put the link to the article in the description, watch the show first before you go and read it. But yeah, I've put the link to the article in the description of the video. It is scathing. There's no beating around the bush. It just picks him apart completely. And like I say, it confirms everything that we've done. And also, if you remember, 6 weeks ago, we did a video saying because we got approached by not Jacob Steinberg. We're not that kind of in the know with people, but we did get approached by someone to say that Tuchel and Poch were approached and they knocked the job back. And there was someone else as well. Steinberg alludes to the fact in this report that in October, they were looking at replacing him. They approached Unai Emery as well. So all of this fucking guff that we're hearing at the moment about how they support him, about how they're behind him, about how they're backing him, it's bollocks. It's not the case at all. David Sullivan is just manager repellent. And the fact of the matter is they probably... One thing that Steinberg did say was that you've got the likes of Bielsa, Hassan Hutel and Sean Dyche who are available at the moment, but they do want better than that. The issue is... they're struggling to attract that type of manager. You know, will they be able to go out and convince a Poch or a Tuchel now? I don't know. I mean, like I say, that was back in October, and Aston Villa beat us to the punch. So we could have had Emery now, if not for David Sullivan, who, like I say, looks to be a bit of a problem. What are your thoughts on that, John, with the Emery one? What do you think the problem is there? So if Aston Villa approach a manager and we approach a manager, why is he choosing Aston Villa over West Ham at the moment?
Probably wages. Probably.
You think that's what it is.
You know, it could be any sort of thing, but well, I don't know what it is, mate. But to me, the release of this article and the things that have been released, slowly being released by the club, from the club, on behalf of the club, obviously over the last few weeks, I think. As much as we want to blame Moyes for the downturn in form, which is obvious, which is what will happen, I think we've also got to look at the board. Let's be honest. They ain't running us any different to what they've been running us over the last decade or whatever it is. They've been in charge of the club. The last 2 years really have glossed over everything, and I mean everything. It's glossed over the move. The fans sort of forgot about the stadium move. The fans sort of laid off Gold, Sullivan and Brady to some extent. The league form by people like me as well was pushed aside because we had some great European nights. But look, at the end of the day, if they honestly went for Emery in when was it? What was it? October? No,
October. Yeah. So October. Basically. When it was failing again for the second time, because obviously it went bandy after Everton. We got a few little wins together. The performances weren't great. Then it started faltering again. At that point, they was looking to replace him.
If Unai Emery, who yes, you know he's won a lot in European competitions, if Unai Emery is choosing Villa over West Ham, then we've got to think as a fan base we're not as big as we think we are. Or the clout that we think we offer, or the potential that we think we offer to managers akin with Unai Emery, we haven't got that to offer. And the board, they look as ridiculous as anyone in this situation. Because to me, it would seem that if they've been knocked back by Emery in October, you know, we're talking 8 to 10 weeks ago now. What have they done since?
Yeah, no. No. Look, I suppose what you could say, John, the only thing that we could say about them is they have backed him. And if you do look at the article, no, but if you look at the article there, right, and we knew this already. We know about David Moyes' due diligence. We know this. The fact that he was stuck on Lingard, that he was stuck on Kostic, who didn't want to come to us. That was delaying that was delaying it, and that is why we ended up having to have this mad rush at the end. It's why we was ill prepared at the start of the window because start of the season.
We discussed Kostic, right? And at that time, I was still Moyes in, right? And even though I was Moyes in and you was Moyes out, and Gary was probably 50-50 at that time, we all agreed that going after Kostic was absolutely ridiculous. We all knew that.
It's a waste of time.
We knew he wanted Champions League football, which we couldn't give him, obviously. So that was a waste of time. But then you have to, you know what? The thing is I've often been accused of being half glass full and rather than half glass empty. But I've sort of been happy with the way Moyes has made us not a laughing stock anymore. But we're slowly falling back into that category, and I don't just mean by
very
results
quickly.
I don't just mean by our results, Nick, because the fact that the board are releasing these articles or these using these mouthpieces or journalists that they've got a good friendship with to slowly release ammunition at Moyes, which is what it is.
This ain't slow now. This ain't slow. But I agree with what you're saying. But you know for a fact, we all do. For all of their faults, they are populists. They fail, but they want to be liked. Sullivan and Gold are scared of the fans. They always have been scared of the fan base. And they don't know they are, you know, they don't want to backlash. And I think they're still under the illusion that David Moyes is still popular. And I think now this type of article that's being released now is just basically exposing to the world, you know, when we do move, when he does go, this is why he's going. You know, we're not knee jerking. So I don't know. I think they're just a little bit.
Listen. You know, on our Facebook group, there's been a lot of discussion over recent days and things like that. And it was brought up, and I have to agree with this. I genuinely agree with this. We are not as attractive a proposition as people would like to think, as probably us West Ham fans like to think. And I even mean on the playing side of things, Nick, right? Because not being funny, mate, our squad, I know we bought well in the summer, but in the main, our squad is an aging over-the-hill squad. And and our superstar is leaving in the summer more than likely, right? So look, there's not a lot to be hopeful for a manager coming in unless he's promised the earth. We would have to spend an awful lot of money again, like we did last summer, or maybe even more, just to get the numbers up again, mate.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, John, you don't have to, and I know that you agree with this for a start, right? Yeah. Now you don't have to go out and spend 40, 50, 60 million on players. You don't. That 160 million that we spent, we could have spent that far differently to what we did. For instance, the 18 million that we spent on Emerson Palmieri. What a waste of fucking money. You're telling me we couldn't have gone out and got a left back from the Championship that would have been better than Emerson for 5 million? We could have.
In my opinion now, the thing is this. Rob Newman's there, scouting around. I think to some extent, Rob Newman is basically scouting the wrong players for West Ham.
Mate. No. But Rob Newman. Don't forget, David Moyes appointed Rob Newman. They're mates. They used to play football together. So therefore, Rob Newman. You know, David Moyes is a control freak, right? Mm-hmm. Rob Newman is going to be the one that is doing due diligence checks for David Moyes. It's to speed up the process. I don't believe that David Moyes will take a lead on anyone because I think he's an old-fashioned manager. He thinks he knows the world of football. And whereas in years past, he used to like to go and watch players 2 or 3 times before he signed them and go and fucking sit down with their mum and dad and stuff like that. He's not had time to do that. So he's recruited someone to do that process now. I don't think that David Moyes would listen to someone else at a signing that was pushed on him. We've seen it with Ben Rama. We know that Ben Rama wasn't a Moyes signing. Right. We know he weren't.
Okay. Right, let's look at it like this, right? When Moyes came into the club, he had a tall striker who didn't do what he wanted to do. He also had a flair player on the wing, like which was Anderson at the time, right? He got rid of them. Fast forward 2 years now, he's now once again got a tall striker who doesn't run around like he wants him to, and he's also got a player who's too flared for, who's too much of a flair player for him in Paqueta. So he's reverted back to what he didn't want in the first place,
It was such a mistake.
But this is what baffles me, Nick. And they came out in the summer and said, we're going to change the way we play. We're going to change our philosophy.
But that was David Moyes as well.
I know it was Moyes, but that's what I'm saying to you. It almost seems like...
I think, John, I do think we have to accept. I think we actually do have to accept that this could possibly be that David Moyes has been an absolute fucking car crash, and this could have been driven by him.
I'm not.
But this could have been driven by him. I think it's too easy to say it's the bald and it's Newman.
No. Listen. I'm not excusing him at all.
Yeah.
They're all as culpable as each other, because at the end of the day, they shouldn't be butting heads. They should be pulling together in the same way, right? Because they've seen our fortunes to some extent change over the last 2 years, right? In terms of what we did in Europe and that. Okay, our league form dwindled, we know that. But we still managed to finish high up for West Ham United, right? They should have been pulling together. It seems like they're pulling in different directions. And that's what I can't get my head around. And the fact is this. Moyes is making himself look like an absolute mug because
massively.
He has been their mouthpiece. He does these pre-recorded, scripted videos.
I've got no sympathy for him, mate. I have none. I've got no sympathy for him.
I haven't, but I've also got as little, if not less, sympathy for the board, because now they are throwing him under the bus, by releasing these snippets of information time and time again to certain, journalists, etc. I'm not excusing any of them. Moyes is as to blame as anyone. Of course he is, right? I'm not saying that. But I just think that we have, if you look at the Brighton mantra, they don't go and spend 40, 50, 60 million pounds.
That's what I was saying to you earlier.
Right?
That's what I was saying to you earlier. Yeah.
Nor do Brentford. So what I'm saying is, are we shopping in the wrong supermarket?
David Moyes was shopping in the wrong supermarket. Listen, he wanted James Ward-Prowse and Calvin Phillips for 50 and 70 million. That's what he wanted. Now, but what I'm saying is, John, now if they'd have come in, they'd have done a good job. They're Premier League players. But the fact of the matter is, it showed to me fear from David Moyes because he knew he was under pressure. Basically, for the last year, the style, I think it's 18 months. I think before Jesse Lingard came in, that style was being found out. Jesse Lingard came in, freshened things up. All of a sudden, we started playing through the middle, fast counter-attacking football. It was different. It was on the floor. It was central. It was different. Then Lingard went, and it's all gone to shit since then because Moyes has had to kind of revert to what wasn't working, was starting to not work pre-Lingard, and it's carried on since then. And it was very successful at first, and it was. But the fact of the matter is, David Moyes' style of football, which was once successful, there are very few managers in the Premier League now that play that way. There might be one, Conte. And the only reason Conte gets away with it is because he's got world-class forwards up front. They dig him out of trouble every now and then.
Didn't get away with it yesterday.
No. But that's generally what it is. There are no other managers, really, that play like Moyes anymore. The thing is, we all heard before the January transfer window, David Moyes came out and he said, we're shopping for new players. It was his excuse in the January transfer window. We're going out to sign players better than what we've got now. When I came in, we were signing players that were sort of to get us away from relegation. Now we've got to go out and we've got to sign players to get us in the top four. Well, I think they've tried to do that in the summer, but the fact of the matter is, it ain't just players for the top four that you need, it's a manager for the top four. And that is something that should have been identified. If you're going to go out and splash 180 million on a load of players that play a different style, unsuited to your manager, and you're going to stick with him and expect him to do something different, I feel it was never going to fucking work. That's why I went so quickly, and it is why I went so quickly, because you saw immediately starting into that season, how unhappy I was at the end of last season, and you saw so quickly at the start of this season that nothing had changed. No. You could see that the new players weren't going to fit into what we'd done, because it weren't personnel. It's not personnel that's our main problem. It's the fucking tactics. I know we've got an aging squad. I know we've got an aging team, but we've got good players. We are way better, John. This is a false position, mate. Another manager would have us at least in that top 10, at least.
Okay, I'm not denying that we have got good players on paper, but come the end of the season, we're losing a lot of them again, right? So the rebuilding process.
Yeah, but you worry about that then. Yeah, but you worry about that then.
But this is what I'm saying to you in terms of attracting a manager of the ilk, like you've been saying about Tuchel and Poch. Listen, mate, we're not attractive a proposition as you think. That's all I'm saying. As much as you listen, we can all sit here with our West Ham hats on, but let's be realistic. Cresswell's done. Soufal's done. Soucek is probably done. Antonio is done. That's 4 already of our core of the team over the last 2 years that's got us.
Dawson ain't going to be here much longer, is he?
Dawson, Ogbonna. That's 6 straight away, right? And they're 6 fairly big characters, and they've been important to us since Moyes has been in charge. And
you know what? Do you know something? We've had a manager. We've had an aging squad. And we've had a manager that has been fucking ignoring our youth players. We let Josh Cullen go. You know, you telling me Josh Cullen wouldn't have been a better shout than Thomas Soucek? I'm just saying. Josh Cullen, Longello's gone out to Birmingham. He's playing well. If Moyes is still in charge when he comes back, he'll be going the same way as Elise. He'll be going out the door as well. Elise's another player who's playing for Sunderland at the moment. What I'm saying is, we have got a decent youth academy. We've now got Harrison Ashby going out the door. You've got Perkins who's gone to Leeds. So this average age that we've got is because of David Moyes, because he's got stuck on these fucking players and he refuses to move away from them.
Granted.
That's why we've got an old squad.
Yeah, okay. Granted, but what I'm saying is that all of you, I'm suggesting that Moyes, the board, and Newman, I'm sorry to say, are culpable, right? You're putting it all on Moyes. It sounds like that's all I'm saying.
No. I'm putting it's entirely on the board for the fact that they have not identified that he is not the man for this job. That is a massive fuck up for them. It's huge. But the reason that we're in this situation at the moment is one problem at a time. This ain't going to go away. And look, the odds are that Gold and Sullivan are going to be gone in March and April as well. I know we've had the reports out, from Sean and whoever else saying, they're not going to sell just because the clause is up. Don't listen to that. Just like they haven't been approaching managers. They ain't been approaching managers.
Why do you always do this?
I know. I just like that because you've got some people that at times like this, yes, the board will give you good information, yeah, they will. But at times like this, people that are ITKs, they get used to peddle a narrative. That's the fucking exchange. That's the payoff. So they'll give you information, but then when they need you to peddle a message for them, they will.
But
you got to read between the lines of it. It's bollocks at times like this.
Yeah, but listen, what have I always said to you?
Go on.
I'm the only ITK because I believe only what I ever see. I don't read all this stuff. I don't get involved in all this stuff and interact in all this stuff because the proof's in the pudding in so much as the Steinberg article today is proof. Yeah. Absolute proof of the bullshit we're fed constantly. And to be honest with you, mate, if you're a West Ham fan, more than most, we know that after stuff we hear, if not always bullshit. And I do not believe. We do transfer shows, of course we do, but we do them based on nicking it off stuff we see online. We don't believe it. We're not saying it's going to happen, but I don't believe half these things. The Paqueta and the Scamacca thing were, let's be honest, they were wow to us. We was like, bloody hell, we mean business.
The Scamacca one. Oh, yeah. We knew about that one. We knew about that one, though. Yeah. That was the one that we broke. That was Paqueta surprised me.
But it was still a surprise to us. We don't buy players of that ilk generally, do we?
Well, we say of that ilk. I mean, fuck me. He's not. But this is the thing. Going back to Scamacca, going back to your point earlier on, nothing made any sense, and this is what I mean and the way David Moyes is using Scamacca now, and this just goes to prove that the guy does not know what he's doing now. He can do one thing really well, but outside of that, he's completely uncomfortable. Now, Scamacca, I've learnt more about Scamacca since we've signed him, not based on what he's done for West Ham, but I've been trying to sort of discover why he's fading. So I've watched quite a few of his games and quite a few of his clip hits and stuff like that when he was in Italy playing for Sassuolo. He's a big player, like Haller, but he ain't necessarily the type of player, John, that leads the line. He ain't the one that sort of sits on the shoulder of the last defender, waiting for a cross. He drops deep, he links play. So why the fuck are we playing him like that? Because it ain't going to work. It was never going to work. Paqueta, the one comment that baffled me just recently, we've all been saying, play him deeper. And then you had that admission where David Moyes came out after he spent 50 million quid on this player and he's been persisting playing him in a number 10. He comes out and he says, I'm probably going to try and play him a little bit deeper to see if that works. And you're like, mate, did you not know this fucking player you bought? Seriously.
But that was on the back of Soucek getting injured, wasn't it? Or taking a knock?
No, it weren't off the back of. No, it weren't off the back of. He basically said he's going to play. He was on the bench, John. Souček was on the bench. He got brought. In fact, when Paqueta went down injured, if you remember, Souček was the first one up, and that's the other. And that's the other thing as well. Souček was not dropped. That was a change of formation. I'll tell you what. You will only see. I will only accept that Souček has been dropped when we play a 4-2-3-1, and Souček ain't in that team.
Do you know what baffled me?
He weren't dropped.
I haven't spoken about the Brentford game on here, but when Paqueta went down injured, and you just saw Souček warming up, I was just like, really? You got Fornals as an option. You had Downs. I mean, I don't think Downs got off the bench all night hardly, but you just saw Souček again, and I thought, you're going to throw him on to chase a game when you're 2-0 down, really?
I know.
I was just baffled. I sort of feel like David Moyes is.
That was an admission of. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing as far as I'm concerned. That really was.
Listen, you know I like David Moyes. I'm worried about what's going on in his head. I feel like I need to shake him and say, are you for real? I feel like at the minute I'm on a massive episode of Candid Camera because he does everything that you would expect him not to do. And it's almost like, really, you're doing it again. And it's a shame because he's digging himself into a huge hole, and I think it's one he can't get out of now. I think he
can't. Literally. And do you know the only player he signed in the summer, I think, that would suit him is the one that he won't really use. That's Downs. I think Downs would suit him. Downs, it would work if he used Downs.
Yeah, I agree. We've been calling for Downs. He ain't going to get Downs. Ain't going to get a look in under Moyes, and he hasn't really.
Yeah, that's the reason why Bowen worked for him because Bowen was just an industrious winger that just gets his head down, runs a lot, tracks back. Automatically, it's built into him. He's from the Championship, so Moyes gets on well with him.
Do you think that the fact that the board have come out and said we approached Emery? Do you think that could be a little bit of a fabrication, or do you think it's 100%?
No, mate.
Asking.
We had. I must admit, we didn't get told Emery, but when we was told about Tuchel and Poch, we said that they said there was other managers as well that have been approached that have turned it down, but it must have been him because I didn't know about Emery at the time. So that must have been it. But then you had everyone else because then the board come out, didn't they? Oh no, we ain't approached no one. And then you've got other people that come out and sort of say no. I don't know what because Sullivan said we ain't approached anyone. No, Sullivan isn't going to come out and say I approached someone, but they basically didn't want to come to me. You know, that's the thing. He's not going to. It's embarrassing. The only encouraging thing, John, is the fact, as someone else has said in that chat, is they mentioned the likes of Bielsa. Dyche and what's his name? Hasselhoff from Southampton, and apparently
Pamela Anderson.
Yeah, but apparently they're not desirable by the board, so they've been identified as managers that they don't want. They want more than that, which is that's encouraging. I'm encouraged by that.
It is encouraging, and it goes against the grain because I've said recently that I can't imagine the board as it stands now employing a big character or a big name manager, because generally with a big name manager comes a big personality, and with a big personality, you'd imagine that they wouldn't become a puppet for the board, and that's why I can't see them going for a manager.
But if they're looking to sell the club at this point, so say they are, say those stories are true, then what they're going to want to do at this point, because at the moment the value of their club, their asset is dropping because we're down the bottom. The other thing that's this kind of summarised in that article is the clause that's been written into our not a clause, it's been written into our statements, isn't it? What was it, John? How was it worded? It was quite harrowing. So if you go down, have a little look at that statement. There's something alluding to our accounts have been released.
Oh, it said we're not too good to go down, wasn't it? Basically.
It's not, but it's the way it was worded. So it's plausible. A plausible situation or something like that. The way it was written was fucking harrowing. Yeah. So they're literally they're accounting for the fact that we could go down now, which look is right. They've got to do that, I suppose, if you're running a business, and we are where we are on the table. But I am sorry. The obvious fucking thing is staring them right in the face. Mm. That's the obvious thing. That's the reason that we're at risk of relegation at the moment. And the longer they stick with him, John, the worse it's going to get. The more that pool of managers that would be available to us is going to shrink as well. Because the deeper we fall into a relegation battle, the harder it's going to become. Yeah, as you said, who's going to really fancy it in 3 or 4 games? No one's going to fancy it.
No, but the thing is, again, is the only asset we have as a club is the players on the pitch and being in the Premier League, obviously not owning their own ground. So they have to act. And why they haven't acted already baffles me, because at the end of the day, the longer you leave it, yes, the more chance you got of going down. And look, we remember the team when we went down, when we had bloody, when we had the Canio and Cole and all that lot and Defoe, we went down. I think that squad was far better than we've got now, and we went down. Yeah. So you can never ever take that mindset. Look, I think whether we beat Leeds or tomorrow night or not, I think Moyes will be gone sooner rather than later.
I think this article for me, I think it's done. I wouldn't be surprised if, irrespective of the results tomorrow, not that I don't expect to get anything out of that game. Did you hear Stuart? Somebody's mentioned it in the chat. Stuart Pearce on TalkSport earlier on, he was talking about David Moyes, right? And he used terminology. He went, he's the most astute manager I've ever known. He really goes into detail about the opposition. He's this and he's that and whatever else. And I'm sitting there thinking, if he really does dig into the opposition, he looks into them in such detail, how come we never saw any fucking changes ever? It was like one size fits all for every game. And why is that, Piercy? If he's that astute? And then they went on to say after that, how do you expect him to line up against Leeds? Do you expect him to go for it? And basically Piercy said, no, he's not going to go for it. He's cautious. Basically, he's cool. That's what he said. So, and the thing that we
listen.
One second. The thing we all assumed, right, and the thing that we've all been talking about is that David Moyes has lost the dressing room. That he's lost the changing room. Okay, that's what we've all been saying. But there's really little proof to suggest why that is, apart from body language of players. But something that is revealed in this, which is something that I haven't seen written before, is that senior players have challenged Moyes on his counter-punching tactics. Yeah. Saying that he's holding them back. Now, we've not seen that before. But once that happens, John, once you've got senior players going up to Moyes, Moyes, what are these fucking tactics, mate?
Look,
let us have a go, will you?
Listen, with the distraction of Europe last season, it distracted the players. It distracted the players from the league form as well. So whenever things hunky-dory at a club, everyone's going to be happy. Now things ain't going well in terms of league position and where we are. The fans ain't happy. Some of the players possibly ain't happy. You've seen Soufal come out and say what he said. Antonio's alluded to the fact that we sit back and try and nick a 1-0 if we can, or whatever it is we try and do. It does look to me, unfortunately, and it's sad to say that the wheels are falling off for Moyes and have done for a while now.
They've come flying off, mate.
But the board need to act sooner rather than later, because they're making themselves look even more They can't,
because what they're doing, all right. I mean, fair enough. They went and they tried to get Poch, they tried to get Tuchel, they tried to get Emery. That's been revealed in this article. But that doesn't mean that we couldn't get the names we wanted. This should be a massive fucking list. And you know what? You should work your way down it, because there are other managers. You've only got to look at the likes of Ange Postecoglou from Celtic. There's loads out there. Gallardo. There are so many managers.
There's loads of managers about. Of course there is.
And the thing is, at this stage, John, you probably will agree, when there is a situation like there is currently at West Ham, where the problem is that the manager's lost the dressing room, which by definition means that when he's removed, you probably only really need at this stage, when you've got as much talent as we've got in the squad, I think we just need a good man manager to come in. Just lift the place for 6 months.
Sometimes you often get the manager bounce scenario, didn't you?
Yeah.
A change is as good as the rest, and I think I agree now that, which I didn't not agree with, but even someone like the unfashionable Sean Dyche would be better than not changing at all. And even
anyone would be better at this point.
And I think
they would be.
I think it's for the I'm going to bring this up, right? It might be out of order because it's not directly about Moyes and what's going on, but I was a little bit disgusted about this after the Brentford game, right? So obviously we've lost 2-0. Most of the players walk off straight away. A few clap on the way out. Declan Rice does his usual round, right?
Yeah.
The captain, 23 years of age. A lot of people questioning him now because of the way we're playing as a club, as a team on the pitch. Two blokes behind me were swearing at him, telling him to piss off, giving him the W sign and all that.
It's not acceptable, but it's part of the territory, John.
Yeah, it's not acceptable. But what I'm saying to you is what's happening now is this is how much the wheels are falling off, where our captain our only, or not our only, but one of our world-class players is being attacked for the team playing poorly, and he's getting, single-handedly to blame.
I just don't think he does himself any favours, John. I know you're not going to agree with this because you don't agree. You don't think he did anything wrong in that press conference. But at the end of the day, when your team that you are the club captain of, right now, I'm just going to lay it out. The team that you're the club captain of are 1 point above relegation. You come out and you flash your knickers like that, like he does whenever he gets an opportunity to do it on the big stage like that. That's no good for a start. I will argue that until I'm blue in the face. He doesn't have to do that, especially when his team are where they are. And then we've got a situation whereby we know that this guy has been offered multiple contracts. We're breaking our fucking record. We've almost offered him an open checkbook, but he's refusing because he doesn't want to stay. And then he comes out. No.
Hang on a minute.
No. Wait. No, let me finish it first. But then what he does is he comes out and he gives that kind of that kind of tirade, that kind of gaslighting puff piece after the game, saying how massive West Ham are and how this and how that. And you're thinking, well, fucking hell, Dick, we ain't that massive, are we? So how can you expect people to believe what he's saying when you got a guy that won't sign a contract and that won't do this? And John, I know you don't want to hear it, and I mentioned this a little while ago now, but at the same time, and I'm not blaming Declan Rice for this, for this whole thing. I am far from it, but I don't think he's. I don't know. Wait, but I don't think he's part of the solution. I genuinely think that somebody needs to come in. Somebody needs to come in next and take him by the scruff of the neck and say, look, you're a great player. We'll talk about you moving the summer, but if I have one more fucking peep out of your mouth about anything outside this club, I'm going to strip you of your captaincy and the club captaincy. Bang, gone. Look, all I want to. That's what I'd like to see.
This is. Look, with all due respect, right? West Ham Jordan here. Don't know if you've covered it, but what do you think about Rice getting it with the fans on Instagram? Right?
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
But you're doing it now to some extent.
I'm calling it as I'm calling it as I see it. I'm calling it as I see it.
Let's call it as you see it, right?
I ain't calling him names, am I? I'm not calling him names.
I'm not saying you are, mate. Listen to what I'm saying to you. He did that thing away with England, right? Which, okay, we could say was bad timing. Of course it was. Whatever. It's done now. But have you ever questioned these performances on the pitch? Let's be honest, right? He can't be superhuman week in, week out and carry.
Second half against Arsenal and second half against Brentford.
Because you've hang on a minute, but you've said because he's generally playing alongside Thomas Soucek, so he's doing a two-man job week in, week out. And when he has a dip in form, you want to come out and have a
John, you've actually said yourself on player ratings, right? Yeah. And do you know some of the things that you've actually said on air about his body language and him throwing his arms up in the air with other players.
Yeah. Hang on a minute.
But that's what he's been criticised for online.
I don't criticise his performances. If you listen, you throw your hands up in the air when Thomas Soucek gets named on the fucking team sheet. So if you were playing alongside him, what would you be like?
Look, I think it's a fair point. I think he's head and shoulders above everyone else. Okay, what do you know what he smacks of, John? It smacks of somebody that he knows he's too good to be here, and I think he's not afraid to show it. That's the thing. Whereas in a player in his position, if he's going to get his move in the summer, it should just be about G'ing players up. Really, even if it's just a case of well done, Soufal, that sort of thing. Even if he don't believe it, that type of thing. He shouldn't be showing sort of dismay whenever somebody misplaces a fucking cross or anything like that.
The pressure is immense on that young man's shoulders, right? Because whether you like it or not. And someone said
Odegaard's 20. Odegaard's 24. He's a captain.
They ain't got the pressure that we've got. He's not fighting relegation, Nick. What are you on about, mate?
We weren't fighting relegation at the start of the season.
Well, we've been playing shit all season, Nick.
No, I know.
From the offset.
Listen, you're getting me wrong. I've come out and I will back it up. He's been our most consistent performer by a mile for the last 3 years. He really has, and also what he did do as well at the game before the World Cup, where many other players we saw a few of them that looked after themselves in that Leicester game. He gave everything, blood, sweat, and tears in that. He could have gone and got himself injured. He was lunging into tackles. He was doing all sorts. So yes, I do think think it's muddied with him. I do think he loves West Ham, and I do think he gives his all for it. But at the same time, there's part of him that wants more and this, that, the other, and that. I don't, John. Do you think in that sort of environment is he lifting the team?
Probably not. But
That's what I'm saying.
Hang on a minute. Probably not. I'm not saying that. But the thing is this. It's very easy.
So stripping him of the captaincy isn't attacking Rice. Is it best for the team?
There's people saying here that he should be dropped.
No, I wouldn't drop him.
But Hammer 89, I respect your opinion, mate. I don't know, so I'm not digging you out. But you can't. We're in a relegation battle when people now want to drop Rice because of a little bit of anger or petulance that he's showing, or whatever you want to call it. I agree. It's not what a captain should do. Someone said to me the other day, well, Bobby Moore was a captain at a lot younger time. We live in a different world now. The pressure comes from all angles.
Look, listen, John, also, you have to bear in mind, not all people are born leaders.
No.
He might not be a born captain. Well, it might not be his thing. You know?
The thing is, Nick, he's been captain alongside Noble being at the club.
Oh, come on. He's captain on the pitch is different to being club captain, as has been proved this year.
What I'm saying is Noble was alongside him, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Right? Mate, I'm not being funny. I personally think we're blaming the wrong people to some extent.
Listen. But what I'm saying is, look. I think we're all nitpicking here. We've got a frustrated fan base, right? We've got Declan Rice coming out, the same as Moyes after the pitch, gaslighting us, saying we're not in a relegation battle. We're fighting for Europe. He's saying the same thing. It's a blip. No, be fucking honest, open and honest. Because one thing that he will need to learn, he'll probably never face a relegation fight again, John. So he probably won't need to. But one thing that he will need to learn is that when you are in a fight, and I think you'll back this up, you need to accept you're in a fight if you're going to win it. So they have to accept they're in that relegation battle first and foremost. They should do, and they should be telling them players in that fucking room, in that changing room, saying, look, if we've got to win this. This is everything. If we don't, we run the risk of going down. That's what they need to know, you know. But what's this here?
Hey, what's that?
What's this? Trod just said, got no problem with Rice's performances, but I think he's a bit immature. That's kind of what I think as well. I think he's wet behind the ears. And yes, look, it is wrong. It does leave a bad taste in your mouth when you see. I'll tell you what it is, because Declan Rice reacted to it, then it makes you think, fuck me, he's seen it. You don't want to hurt someone's feelings, first of all. You don't want to do that, because I don't think anyone actually hates it. People just vent. They just vent because we're frustrated at the moment. We're where we are. And this toxicity all goes back to David Moyes and the board. Once David Moyes is removed, it will all be gone. It will all be over. They've got to get rid of that problem. Get him out of the fucking club, because it's quite clear they've felt he's been failing since October. You know? They have, and it must have been slightly before that as well, because if they was ready to pull the trigger at that point, you know, it probably was after the Everton game. I reckon he was being monitored from that point. That was probably going, right, we're going to have to keep a close eye on this.
Can I ask you a question though?
Go on.
Why do you see him not signing a contract as disrespectful to West Ham, or him putting himself first? Because let me finish. He could have signed that contract. How long ago was it first offered? A year ago? I think.
Two years ago. 2 years ago.
So 2 years ago, he could have been earning double what he's on now, whatever. He's decided to not take the money and run, because he's going to go in the summer whether he had that contract under his belt or not. So you could look at it from the other aspect. I know you don't agree with me, but
listen, I'm not criticising him for that. I'm not. I don't care whether he takes the money or not. If he wants to stay on a third of the money, that's up to him. I think he's fucking mad, because at the end of the day, whether he's got a big contract or not, it ain't going to stop him getting his move. So he may as well have just signed that contract.
Well, okay. So do you not respect him a little bit for not just taking the money?
No. What do you mean? Because at the end of the day, he ain't taking the money and run. John, when he goes, all he would be doing, John. No, John. All he would be doing is securing that West Ham get a big fat fee for him. But he ain't done that, because him running his contract down means that he holds all the fucking cards. So no, I don't respect him for it.
Well, you say he holds all the cards, but West Ham want to cash in on him whether they have a longer contract or not.
The bigger the contract and the longer it is, the more it will cost someone to prize him out.
And also Rice could have been taking more money from the club weekly. That's what I'm saying.
But you get it all back. You get it all back.
You don't get it.
You get it all back. No, look, listen. I love Declan Rice. You know I love Declan Rice.
No, you do. I don't really understand why everybody's right on his fucking back at the minute.
Because he's a captain, and do you know what? He's backing the fucking manager.
And these are the same people that said Noble should have been playing last year, but now he's gone. People have realised what fucking Noble offered on and off the pitch.
He weren't playing last year, was he? Really?
When he did play, people used to laugh and go, "What's he doing on the pitch?" Let me tell you something about Mark Noble, right? He should have signed another bloody year contract, because he could have offered more than Soucek still now, mate. And he might have got
I do think there's certain things that they did wrong. When you look at, I think you did a show on it, didn't you, ages ago, about the importance of certain characters in the dressing room. Would it have cost them that much to have kept Martin, the goalkeeping coach, kept him around? People like that. No. Is it? Was he? Alvin Martin's son. Dave. What's his name? Dave Martin, isn't it?
David Martin, the model. Hang on, Hammer 89 don't want me on anymore. Nick, drop Virgil. Better when you're with Gary. Well, they're brothers, so they get on very well. And look,
that'd be horrible.
Give Aguerd the captaincy. Well, he hasn't been fit, has he? Really? So you can't really give that. They're not going to take the captaincy off Rice.
But I think the main issue, and this is what people need to understand as well, and we've discussed this before as well. The issue that we've got is who would get the captaincy. The obvious choice would be Dawson. But then when Zuma and Aguerd are fit, they're just going to come straight in. Zuma and Aguerd are going to come straight into that team, and Dawson isn't going to be playing it, and we know he wants out, so you can't make it Dawson. So who would be the natural? Who else is there? I don't think there is anyone.
There's not many about.
I don't think there is anyone. Maybe if I can give it to the goalkeeper, give it to Areola or something. I don't know who else.
Bloody hell! Oh, yeah. It must be a full moon outside. Look, east side. Nah, I love John. He's a good guy. Jesus Christ! If I'm being praised by Eastside, Jesus Christ. Look, it's always going to be toxic, and the problem is now is that look, if someone like me has had enough, then yes. I'd imagine a lot of people have had enough.
I think everyone has had enough at this point. I mean, sort of moving. So look, we've done the article to death. I'm astounded. I really didn't want to do this. We was going to do the Leeds preview. I couldn't motivate myself to do it because
it's boring.
It's boring because I'm getting apathetic towards to it all now. You probably saw the show I did with Gary after the game last time. I've had the life sucked out of me over it. I can't believe he's still here. It makes no logical sense to me, and I don't think them not being able to find their ideal manager is a good enough reason at this point. They've just got to go out and get rid of him. Just get rid of him and get someone else in for now. I know we all want a top manager. I don't think we've got a board that can attract him. I disagree with you on it not being West Ham, that West Ham are not that great. I think it's David Sullivan, John. David Sullivan is not... I think he's the problem. I don't think it's the club, it's him.
It's a bit of both. And I think what I'm trying to get at is, if you look at our squad, on paper, we have got a good squad, I agree, but we're going to lose a big chunk of that again in the summer. A huge chunk of that again. We're going to be what we're going to be, 8 players down again in the summer.
Yeah, no, I know. But like I say, you've got the likes of Longello coming back. We could have had Ashby signed up and playing for us. We could have had.
They've just called Chester's back from Colchester. And
this is what I mean. I don't think it'll be as bad as all that. It's like I actually watched Alisi in a game for Sunderland the other day. I'm not saying it'd be Premier League ready now, but he's far better than I thought he was. I thought they let him go because he was shit. He ain't. He's not a bad player at all. He's a really good player.
I couldn't tell you what he was like. I've never seen him play.
I didn't know anything about him, so I thought there must be. He can't be very good if they just let him go. He's a decent player. And when you look at the current situation, even when you look at the situation we're in now, selling Diop seemed a bit stupid. If you looked at the back three the other day, the back three that got absolutely, especially with that second goal, oh my God, where Cresswell got roasted. If you'd have had Diop there, Diop was quick at least. Diop had legs.
Yeah.
He would have recovery pace. The one thing that we was desperately lacking in that backline was pace.
Yeah.
So some of the decisions that were taken across the board, you're just thinking, why? What's going on now? The
other thing that interested me in that article, just to go back to it quite briefly, was the fact that that guy, what's his name? Steinberg? What's his name? Steckenberg? What's his name? The bloody
Steinberg. Jacob Steinberg, yeah.
Yeah. So when he said that Carer's performances have been poor, that interested me.
Yeah, well, they have been poor.
But you sort of think when he came from PSG, he's come to West Ham and we've made him a worse player again.
Well, I think I said it before. Do you know when you come from? Because even when he played for Schalke, they had a very progressive manager. They played a high line. So I've looked at him as well, and he's never been a backs to the wall defender, John. So he's not Dawson. So if you play him deep and you're playing him the last, he's literally camped in his 18-yard box. He's never had to defend like that. He's a footballer. If you play him further up, he's got pace, he's got recovery pace, he can see a pass. He was probably more of a central. His position on the pitch was probably more what our central defensive midfield position is when he played for PSG, because that's how far they play up the pitch.
I genuinely just want to respond to this from Adam the Architect. He's getting a lot of stick in the chat. Ben Rama is the problem. I cannot stand him.
Oh, come on.
I'm not going to talk about Ben Rama specifically, but I genuinely have thought for a long time that the main problem, and I know you'll agree, and many others, Thomas Souček, because you've got him in the centre and midfield doing absolutely sod all, and that just sidetracks the whole team from front to back when you've got someone performing so poorly as him. I disagree. I disagree with the Ben Rama. I think Ben Rama's been a little bit.
I think ultimately, John, I think that's been the main problem. I think we've kind of lost the game in the middle of the park. I think, like you said, Rice has been doing a job of two blokes. Yeah. I think if we'd have had Downs in there with Rice from the start of the season, we would not be in this situation now. No way, we wouldn't be. But no, it is bizarre. Having said that, to throw a spanner in the works, I heard someone say this the other day. If Thomas Souček was on the pitch, we probably wouldn't have conceded those two goals conceded from throw-ins. We probably wouldn't have. He'd have probably been there to defend them. But
you know what I was thinking? You know when the first one went in, I thought to myself, I bet Moyes thinks I'd have Souček back there, would have edited it out, saying. You probably think
He probably would have. He probably would have, though. He might have blocked one of them.
I bet you Moyes went in after 90 minutes and went, see, I told you, that's why we needed Souček in the team.
But you can't just have a man in the middle of the park just as a blocker, though. It's good. You need blockers, but they've got to be complete footballers, haven't they? Well, he did it with
Fellaini for long enough, and now he did it with Souček for long enough, unfortunately.
I know.
Look, at the end of the day, mate, we just need a change at the helm because it's starting to stink a little bit now, and I feel like we've just gone backwards. We took 2 steps forward and we took 10 steps back a little bit. Yeah. And I'm not saying we're definitely going to get relegated. I don't know how the season's going to, pan out. I think we'll stay up with or without Moyes to some extent. But I just think for the sake of the club, I think the fan base has had enough in the main. Yeah. It seems that the players have had enough in the main. And if you read the article that we've read today in The Guardian, then it seems like the board have probably had enough. But I don't trust the fucking board. So
it was brutal. I think that's it though. I think that's they say it's not over till the fat lady sings, and that's or the little geezer with a Russian hat, and I think that's the little bloke singing. So I think that kind of report there that is definitively Moyes being slung cleanly under the bus. There was far more information in there than there needed to be. It's like I say, it just confirms everything that we already knew. And he needs to go. And it is a shame that it's come to this because we said this back in when people were probably, a lot of people were probably raising their eyebrows at me. Part of my rationale, and this is what people didn't get, part of my rationale was you can see where this is going. And part of it was if we keep Moyes, people are going to end up hating him. So if we'd have got rid of him at the right time, then his legacy would have been intact. I don't think, John, after the job that he's just done here, I don't think anyone's going to touch him now. Not after this. Not this year.
I think what you've got to remember is that
no one's going to touch him now.
To some extent, Moyes rebuilt his managerial credentials with us over the last 2 years. Yeah. Now he's in a rapid decline and he's in danger of making himself a laughing stock again. Because let's be honest, when we got him on board first time and even second time, a lot of people didn't want him because they thought he was a joke.
Yeah,
which I sort of disagreed with, if I'm honest, in the main. But now he's slowly but surely crucifying himself, if I'm honest with you, mate.
Yeah,
and no. Probably won't work again to some extent. He probably will get a job somewhere, but it won't be of this caliber. Nowhere near it.
Do you know the only way? And I'm convinced, right? Because I do believe that David Moyes, especially now, the situation that he's in now, the only chance that he would have of getting anything or getting enough points until the end of the season to keep us safe would be if he just reverted to type and he got rid of all of the new players. If he binned, I don't mean sell them, but if he benched, Paqueta, Scamacca, got rid of all of these players, went back to the old guard and started playing his fucking, Moyes ball that we all hate, that's probably the only way that he might be able to sort of shit out enough wins. It's the only way. But if he keeps on doing what he's doing, we're never going to get fuck all.
Also, because what you've got to remember is the players.
And I don't want to say that.
No, of course not. But the longer you're in the battle, the more you have got to revert to some sort of fucking get it up the other end style, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
long ball maybe. And the thing is the players that we've brought in, we haven't brought them in for a relegation battle, and I'm not sure that they are cut out for a relegation battle. Do you understand what I mean?
I know.
You know, Scamacca, Paqueta, I don't know. I don't know enough about them. I haven't seen enough of them to suggest that they will or won't do that. But at the minute, I'd say no. Emerson, fucking hell, I don't know what he's there. He's there for an holiday, isn't he? Fucking hell.
I don't know, mate.
Yeah, look.
Do you know what the interesting thing is, though? Going back to this article, did you hear David Moyes' press conference earlier on? Did you see it?
No, I haven't. I've been at
It's
work.
much of the same. Don't watch it because it will even wind you up. It will even wind you up. Right. Yeah. It was. I wanted to eat my phone. I've got to be honest. I had a bit of a tantrum on the on the train, and he said the same thing again. You know, David Sullivan backs me. You know, he was kind of really sort of. Yeah, it was amazing. But that was earlier on, and then do you know what? About 3-4 hours later, then this article comes out from Steinberg.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Then that article gets released.
But that don't make sense, does it? It's contradictory.
Yeah,
massively.
I know.
Because both things have been
No,
both of those have been fed from the club.
Well, do you know what? Because in a sense, what Moyes is doing by saying Sullivan backs me, Sullivan backs me, Sullivan backs me, Moyes is kind of throwing Sullivan under the bus with the fans because he's blaming. Yeah. No, he is in a sense. No, so I don't know if there's a bit of a to and throwing going on now.
I'm going to listen. You know, I'm optimistic as a fan, but I'm going to be totally honest. I've watched a lot of football over the last couple of weeks since the World Cup's finished. There's been football on almost every day, Premier League football, right? Yeah. And I'm sure people in the chat would agree, and you'll probably agree. Is there 3 worse teams than us at the minute?
No,
probably not.
No, probably look at Forest the other day.
But you know what all these teams have got, apart from probably us and maybe to some extent Tottenham.
Southampton, I think. Oh, go on.
Well, to some extent Tottenham, they're not. But most of these teams, they're just so quick in transition. They get from back to front so quick. We just even
that's what I said. That's what I said earlier. That this style of football is gone. It's gone. It's gone. It doesn't fit anymore.
It doesn't fit.
And he doesn't seem aware of that, though, John. If you look at the types of players that he's bought, Paqueta's not quick. You know, Scamacca's not quick. The types of players that he's bought, Downs ain't quick. You know, he hasn't added really. I mean, Cornet ain't as quick as what I thought he was going to be. Cornet weren't quick.
When have you seen him running?
I know. He's quicker than some, but he ain't rapid. It's not even me.
It's not even the actual speed
style of football.
It's not even the speed of the player, mate. It's where they look for the first ball to go. And do you know what infuriated me the other night against Brentford? My boy even noticed it, and he's 11. Every time Cresswell, Emerson, Soucek, most of the players got the ball, they first thought was to look for Rice.
Yeah.
They seem to only want to go through Rice. And that, to me, stinks of either two things. They've got no confidence or self-belief in their own ability, or they just think Rice is the main man, let him deal with the pressure. I can't work it out. They don't need to pass to him half the time, but they give him the ball all of the fucking time. It goes through him.
Hang on, Hammerhead. John, please tell me what he's talking about here. I'm exaggerating a bit, mate. Some of our players are actually pretty fast. They just don't run anymore. What players?
I wasn't actually talking about the speed of the player. I'm talking about the speed in which they move the ball. It's the speed in which no one moves quicker than the ball.
Soufal, slow. Cresswell, slow. Dawson, slow. Zuma, slow. Ogbonna, slow. You go I mean, Rice has got a little bit of pace. Soucek, Cartles, slow. Downs, he ain't quick, slow. Where's the pace? Where's the pace? Bowen's quick, but he's not quick enough to he's not really quick enough to roast fullbacks. He rarely does that.
Well, he's always really having 2 men on him as well, so he don't get a chance.
I know.
They know he's our main threat, and you know.
Troj makes a good point here, and this is the thing. When I was talking about Moyes going back to what he did before, because his tactic, because there is only one, it was Fornals was key. Yeah. He was the one who used to trigger the counter attacks, because Fornals did used to sit back deep a lot. He did. This was back when it worked, by the way. You know, the last year it didn't. But what Fornals does, as we all know, Fornals does play those quick one-touch passes, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's got to be quick.
It's a bang. He bang. And then you had Antonio, who would make the runs and get in behind, and that was how he was catching people out. Fornals was incredibly important. Yeah. And with all due respect, at this moment in time, I said it a few weeks ago, do you know something? I would play a midfield 3 with Rice, Downs and Fornals, and I would drop Paqueta anyway, because I don't think Paqueta is acclimatised yet. I think he will be a good player for us, but in the situation that we're in now, I think Fornals would be a far better playmaker for us. He moves the ball quick. I would play Fornals over Paqueta at the moment.
The thing for me about Paqueta is that, you know, we're told, and there's no doubt that he's a world-class player, and I just wonder how many games it takes a world-class player to realise you're in the Premier League, you don't get that much time. Surely he's realised by now. You know, and if you're a world-class player like that, you could move the ball a lot quicker. That's all I'd say. We can blame Moyes as much as we want, right?
I do blame him incredibly for that one because
you just said he hasn't acclimatised, so you're contradicting yourself there, aren't you?
No. Look, listen, we didn't know anything about Paqueta before he signed for us. Moyes has scouted this player. John, Moyes has scouted him. He's looked at him, and his style. Even when you look at him for Brazil, he's no different, right?
Yeah.
You would never look at Paqueta in a Brazil shirt and go, he would be brilliant at West Ham. I don't think you would. I don't think you would pick him out and go, that's the one I'd want. I know he's going to be a good. I think he will be. He's going to have to be because we can't have more flops on our hands. We can't keep on, you know, we can't keep on hemorrhaging money all the time.
I suppose we'll see next season if he can do it on a cold Wednesday night in Stoke.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, what do you see him doing tomorrow, John? Let's just get this wrapped up. What do you see him doing tomorrow in terms of lineup? What do you think he's going to do? Do you think he'll stick with a back three?
I hope we don't play Emerson. I'll tell you that much straight away. Fucking donkey he is.
He was shit, wasn't he?
Shocking. Mate, I've called it just for a while. I think he's got to have four at the back purely for the fact that our left back and right back are so slow they can't get up and down the field. But then I don't know what you do in front of them. Maybe 4-2-3-1 or something. I don't know.
Would you agree with me? Do you know when you play a wing back system, the most important players, if you're going to be productive, are your wing backs?
Yes.
And if you've got Emerson and Soufal, how was it ever going to work? It was never going to work.
Nick, how long this season have I been saying we need to play the system that suits our defence specifically? I know. Cresswell and Soufal can't get up and down the pitch like they did 18 months ago. So just let them play as a left back and a right back and forget that part of the job for them. Let the ones in front.
I agree with that completely.
Let the ones in front do it. Let Bowen do it. Then Bowen ain't got to worry about being defensive either. You know, and whoever's on the left, whoever he decides to play on the left, ain't got to worry. Benrahma ain't got to worry about getting back so much because the wing backs ain't going to be overlapping them. I just think Cresswell now, look, he looks lost when he pushes forward. His crosses are diabolical. Soucek, you know, he was probably better than Cresswell on against Brentford, but that ain't saying a lot. But just let them concentrate on defending. And at this moment, we don't need wing backs because we ain't got wing backs.
Hammer 89, we've just signed a new striker. Skamaka Mememba. He's apparently he could be starting up front. No one could ever get his name right, can they?
No, Divock Origi. What's his name? I don't know what his name is.
His name's Mabama, isn't it?
Areola. Well, look, I mean, I've got to say, you know what? I didn't even watch the Brentford game back. I was there, obviously, and I was just distraught, right?
Yeah.
So the second goal, I don't even know what happened because I just looked like Rice. What's his name? Cresswell just got absolutely outplayed. And
he got blitzed.
Fabianski looked like he was waiting for a kettle to boil. What was he doing?
Mate. Why is he? I mean, that's the one. That's the one. I mean, we've seen more than enough evidence now that Fabianski, and he's another. But he's another one. And we're saying about Sullivan doing it to Moyes. Moyes does it to players. He fucking just leaves them in until you're screaming for him to come out the team. And it ain't fair. Fabianski's been a good servant for us. I don't want to be on here. You don't want to be in the stadium going, oh fuck me, not Fabianski again, because he deserves more than that.
But
we've got a better option on the bench.
I just don't see Moyes changing it because he hasn't already, if you know what I mean. If he hasn't changed it already, I just can't see him changing it at all, if I'm honest with you. But I would go 4 at the back. I really would. I'd go 4 at the back. Listen, I can
if he don't go for it, he's mad because Leeds hemorrhage goals for fun.
Yeah, of course. But the thing is we don't score a lot of goals.
No.
So it's like look, I'm usually very, very optimistic, but I'm just really worried about tomorrow because it's a game that we should win. We need to win. You know, I don't know. I just think I know I'd want to be in the starting lineup, but I don't think it will be what I want. It will probably be more aligned with what the game was. You know, who Moyes wants. It won't be anything. It'd be the usual suspects to some extent. But I just wanted to go 4 at the back. I wanted to go 4 at the back, 4-2-3-1, something like that.
Has it ever worked when we go free at the back? When was the last time that worked, John? When he's played wing backs?
Never. We've always
it
looked
just
for.
does. It just doesn't work.
Every time we play free at the back, it never works. And if it was my
Hammer 89's gone. Shout out your 11.
Okay, who I would choose, or who I think
who you would choose? Your 11.
If I had my choice, it would be Areola in goal with the current crop of players who's available. Areola in goal, Dawson with Aguerd in the centre back situation. Ashby, but it won't happen. Let's be honest.
Agree with that.
Left back would be Cresswell because we haven't really got another option. I'm talking 4-4-4.
But playing as a left back.
As a left back, not as a left wing back.
Yeah.
I'd have Benny 4-2-3-1. So the 2 would be Rice and Downs.
Yeah.
The 3 would be Paqueta in front of them 2, Benny on the left, Bowen on the right, Scamacca up front. Is that right?
Yeah.
4-2-3-1?
No, I think that's right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think
it's going to happen.
I think I'd go for a flat. I'd go for a 4-3-3. I'd go with the same back 4 as you. Apart from, I would change Cresswell for. I'll tell you, who's convinced me. Romford Gary. I would go Johnson. I'd replace Cresswell for Johnson at left back. I think his best performances have been at left back as well. Johnson, funnily enough, as he is a right back. But I think he's got more pace. After the way, I don't think I'm ever going to recover from the horror that I felt when I saw Cresswell get absolutely battered for pace. The way that he did there, it was like he was standing still, and he had 5 yards on that player. So I would have Johnson, Aguerd, Dawson, and yes, I would have Ashby. While he's still here, why not put Ashby in as a right back? He's got to be a better option. Soufal does, he's hard working, he's industrious, and then he'll do what he did where he switched off against Arsenal. And you're like, you can't fucking do that, especially in games like that. You can't do it. Yeah. So even as he's just not intelligent enough. Unfortunately, he's not. He switches off. So I'd have Ashby in there. Midfield 3. I'd go for Rice and Downs, and I would go for Fornells in there. I would take Paqueta out. And the front 3, I think I would probably go Bowen on the left. This is going to ruffle a few feathers. And it ain't because he's done nothing wrong, people. This is just because of why I'd want to play. I'd bring him on as an impact player. Everyone's going to kick off now, especially east side. I'd go Bowen on the left as a conventional winger to whip balls in. I'd go for Antonio on the right, and I'd go for Scamacca down the middle. And I'd have Ben Rama as an impact player in this game because I want pace, direct running, and delivery. What we had far too much of in that game was players. How long did it take us to get a ball into the fucking box?
Oh, mate, you know what? That's another thing that infuriates. Listen, I know he's not all about that, but Scamacca's 6'5", right?
I know.
Let's be honest. How many crosses has he had since he's been at the club? I remember one. I remember one cross. I think he scored it from Cornet in a European game. I think Cornet whipped it in on his favoured left foot. He was on the left.
Yeah.
Crossed it in, and Scamacca put it away with ease.
Exactly. Quickly. And I know just get it in quick.
Lumped head of the ball, but I've just looked at Hammerhead's team. I forgot about Antonio. I mean, you could even look at Antonio instead of Paqueta playing off or behind Scamacca. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or if you're going to... Do you know what? If you're going to play anyone in the 10, you might even be able to play Souček. But not Souček. Scamacca in the 10. I've really upset Eside. Eside, listen, I ain't dropped him. I'm rotating him. I'm going for a different style of play. Direct wingers. Boom, bomb down the wing. Bowen on his left peg. He can run down with the ball in. Same with Antonio. And then, I'm sorry. That's what I'd do.
You know what Cornet... Amanda's just said Cornet. Who's that? You know when you buy... Do you know when you get a multi-pack of 6 Cornettos, yeah?
Yes.
And you give them all out to your family. And you unwrap the silver foil. And you know the bit of the very bottom bit of the cornet snap?
Yes, yeah.
That's what Cornet reminds me of. The disappointment when he constantly falls on the floor and gets injured. I don't think he'll ever play for the club.
I'll tell you what, he's a player, right? If you look at some of the fucking warriors that we've had in our team, Ogbonna playing on painkiller injections, Zuma clearly playing Walt's lame. But Zuma clearly playing on Walt's lame. He couldn't even fucking walk, let alone run. He's still playing. Dawson. And then you've got a player like Cornet. I would advocate. I'd be an advocate of taking a hit on him, fucking sell him, get rid of him, 5 million, flog him.
Is that true? Hammer 89 said Antonio's out. He's got flu. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, there's a few of them. Apparently, there's been a virus breaking out in the camp. Yeah. Zuma's got it as well, but he's not fit anyway.
Hammerhead agrees with you. He said he'd drop he would also drop Benny, use him as an impact sub.
I am sorry, Clayton, but Antonio, yes, he can put in a cross. Antonio is actually a very good crosser of the ball. I know sometimes he can. There was moments the other day where he tried on 5 occasions to put a cross in, the same cross, and it was like
I think this one's aimed at you, Nick, because
what's this?
This one's definitely aimed at
Ed
you.
Adams, stop your nonsense, YouTube warrior. What do you know about football management? Get a real job.
Nick, tell him what you do.
Suck a dick, Ed Adams.
Tell him what you do on Sundays, Nick.
I do. I manage my son's football team, and this is exactly the sort of stuff that I do. Anyway,
how many games unbeaten did you go, Nick? Tell the people. How many games unbeaten was you?
Do you think using the F word is attractive? Are you? Oh my God! What are you, a Fulham fan?
He said don't use the F word. He means Fulham.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He must be a Fulham fan. Jesus. Do you reckon he ever goes to a game? Stop swearing.
Yeah, probably.
God damn you, wapscallions.
This Hammer 89, he must be new to us because he is putting in some great comments. Just heard Moyes farted in the changing rooms and it smelt of Sullivan's spunk.
Oh, fuck's sake. That's bad.
I thought it was quite funny.
But look, anyway, that's for me. So go on, results in the tell us in the chat who do you think's going to win tomorrow or draw? What do you think it's going to be? I don't know. Well, but I bet Nick's style of fucking, you're having a laugh, aren't you? I'm free flowing. I'm progressive. I'm like Bielsa. I take a little stool with me. I sit on the side.
Little?
Yeah.
Little stool?
We're doing well. We're top of the league, mate. We're pissing it. We're flying.
Oh, I know. Listen, I know you're
doing well.
Well, we've got some. Hang on, let's get people to put in some scores in. 1-0 to West Ham, Dawson or Cornet. Well, that ain't going to happen, is it?
No.
4-3 to someone. He hasn't said who. Peter Chelmsford, 2-0 to Leeds. Hammer 89, 3-0 to Leeds. Moffat says 3-0 to Leeds. Eastside, 3-0 to Leeds. Bloody hell, no one's predicting a win. No one. Yeah, everyone's saying we're going to lose, basically, mate. Listen, I don't know what it's going to be. I'm not overly confident, but if we win, I'll be over the moon. But I just can't. I can't see us dealing with. I can't see. I know they gift goals away and all that. They're not great at set pieces, but I just can't see us dealing with their pace because that's the one thing they've got. I think they are quick on the ball and they move it quick, and I think we'll struggle with that.
But do you know what my prediction is?
Go on.
I think we're actually going to put a performance in tomorrow. I think we're going to win 2-0, and I think the manager that's already been appointed to replace David Moyes is going to be unveiled because I reckon it's already done.
Really?
That's what I reckon is going to happen. Yeah.
What do you think it is then?
I don't know. I don't know that much. So it's a gut feeling. When you that's the type of thing that would be very West Ham, wouldn't it?
We win and they sack him.
For him to win and then they sack him. That's I reckon maybe a 2-0, 3-0 win, and he's gone. It wouldn't surprise me if he's already a done deal.
If they do sack him, do you think they'll let him on the coach on the way home?
No. They'll make him get a cab back. Get an Uber back, John.
Well, I ain't driving up there.
But no, that's it. But no, thank you. Very, very lively in the chat. That was good.
Yeah, very lively. And thank you for all those. Thank you for all those, especially Hammer 89, who loves me being on telly. Joe, what is this called? YouTube. That's it.
YouTube. That's it. Yeah.
Hang on, one more.
No. Go on.
Killiton, stop eating cheese at night. You come out with some bullshit. I love it when they attack you.
Me? Why am I eating cheese? What am I smoking?
You said we're going to win 2-0.
No, look, I don't think. Listen, I don't think that we will win. I think the odds are we're going to lose. But I'm saying it wouldn't surprise me if he was done because the pressure would be off Moyes then. Because do you remember? Was it the Southampton manager Hassan Husserl? His last game that he played, he was already sacked, wasn't he? He was done. He was gone.
As well.
At that point, the pressure's off. They're going out. So I think if that is the case, and the pressure is off, it could happen. I don't think it will. I think we'll get beat, but.
I don't think it will. Right, so just before we wrap up, because we're going to wrap up now, Nick, I just want to say...
Hammer 89 loves you now, look. See?
Yeah, he's just saying that, isn't he? Because otherwise I'll block him. Just quickly, Nick, you do the wrapping up, but just before we go, I saw it in the chat earlier. I just wanted to make a reference to it now. As you know, me and David Trevitt, we have a little bit of banter backwards and forwards, but tomorrow is a very sad day for Dave. He's laying his dear mum to rest. So I'd just like to say... rest in peace to your mother, and I hope tomorrow goes as well as can be expected. So just wanted to say that before we sign off. So hope it all goes well, Dave, mate.
Absolutely. Rest in peace, Pat. Yeah, that's horrible. Not nice.
Just wanted to say it before we wrapped up. I know it's
yeah.
I wanted to say it. So thinking
Not
of
nice.
him.
Okay. Right, that's that one. Okay, we will see you all tomorrow after the game. John, you are going to join us after the game, aren't you?
Depends if we win, lose or draw.
Yeah, you'll join us after the game. I think we're going to be joined by Nigel as well. So it's me, Gary, Nigel, and Virgil and John.
Is Nigel still Moyes in?
He will be, of course he will. Yeah, he's whatever I'm not. So he just goes the other way, basically.
You thought he was just made it like one, didn't you?
I know. But anyway, yeah. So if you want to see my blood boiling, tune in tomorrow, and John laughing in the background, fucking poking the bear. Right. Okay. That's it. Anyway, thank you everyone. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it, and yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. All right.
See you later, people. Come on, you irons.
Come on, you irons.